Okay, it is time to get into past picks from Chris Stuchberry. And as I look at the list, going back to, this would be June 2019. That was a while ago, my friend.
5.5 years.
Meta, which I'm going to guess that's done okay. There you go. Yeah, pretty strong return for the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. Thoughts 5-ish years later?
I never expected the 75% pullback in 2022.
Yeah.
Like that was a shock to see. We saw some of the biggest companies in the world, like this was a top 10 market cap company, get bombed like that. So it wasn't like a perfectly smooth ride. We no longer own Meta. We kind of just we made the decision that the social media, it was a primary driver of social media. And number one, you had to get users. And then number two, you found a way to monetize those users. Like you were just making more and more off of more and more ads. And they peaked on users and we thought, okay, we're probably where we can get on ads. And it began to change. So we exited this growth stock. We owned it for close to 10 years. You know, so when we get something like this, we own it for a really long time. And we went into Tesla. And so we sat there and said, Tesla, when we originally bought, it was Facebook at the time. They had changed from a money-losing company, crossed the Rubicon of profitability, and then it was a one-way track from there, right? And they did amazing. Tesla did a similar change in 2021, 2020 even, was when they had that, you know, they went from a money-losing company to a moneymaker.
Yeah.
And we looked at the Tesla and said, there's probably superior growth here. It you know, could be the winner on self-driving cars, AI. It could even be the hardware winner on AI. And at the time, Meta was pushing really hard into the metaverse.
Right.
And so we said, we think we can get more growth in this space.
Okay. Well, great context on that move. Cloudera was another one you had mentioned back then, and since then, it's been acquired. So I guess that worked out okay for you.
This was actually a really big lesson for us because when we owned Facebook, and you think back, Facebook was growing at like 30-40% in the 2019 period. Like you had excellent growth, perfect balance sheet, all of that. Cloudera had the good balance sheet, but one of the things we got wrong, and one of the things we try not to do as much, we try to be careful on, is the growth stagnated. And when you're in tech and when you're in these spaces, you're there for growth. And so we had, you know, it happens to everyone. Warren Buffett did it with IBM, right? Like you went to he tried to buy a growth, let's say, position, and he bought something that stagnated. That, you know, other people saw the value there and they bought it out at a higher level, and we were bailed out. And, but that was a mistake, the way we invested in that. And we've learned from it, and we don't really look at growth sectors and try and buy on a valuation basis in the same way. It always matters, but it's different.
Okay, and the final past pick is Royal Bank, which I was just trying to do some quick math here, but I think people sometimes discount how big RBC has become just when you look at the asset base. I mean, it's a global behemoth at this point. Anyway, thoughts on RBC, which ended up netting you a reasonable return.
Yeah, still own it. You know, what we would say is we'll trade around a core. You know, so if we own a core position and, you know, it gets cheaper, we'll add to it. And we did that in the fall of 2022. We added a bit more RBC. And then just recently in the 170 range, we just gave a little bit back. And so, you know, we know largest company in Canada, you know, look at it and I think tariffs, if they come, they're not going to be that big of a factor because you have independent silo businesses and they're exceedingly good at what they do.
Okay. Great perspective there. We're going to take a quick break. Chris will be back with us, and we'll continue taking your calls here on Market Call.